Membership committee has been working really hard on, and I'm kicking us off as we are going to kick off with the four-way test. And this is a membership function, but it's also something that's great for the club to really participate in, because I know from my own experience, I joined Rotary and there was a long period of just finding it out on my own. So this is an opportunity for us all to come together to really talk about the club and the district and the Rotary International, and to learn a little bit more about the workings of and the philosophy behind the organization. So today, as you can see on the screen, it's a Schenectady four-way test. And can I go ahead? No, I cannot. Oh, here it goes.
IT.
I got it.
There you go.
Okay.
Some exercise.
So I thought we'd start. My agenda is we'll start with this slide saying together the four-way test. And then we're going to break into groups by table and by Zoom. And we'll do some sort of talking about it among ourselves, and we'll come back and see what we all came up with. So one of the things I wanted to, my notes. I wanted to, Carmel kind of mentioned the beginning of the four-way test, which I had not known until I began to do research about it. And it was coined during the Great Depression of 1932 by Herbert Taylor, who was a member of the Rotary Club of Chicago. So I didn't know that. And he was asked to take over almost bankrupt company Club Aluminum. And he as a company CEO, developed this four-way test to drive and to inform all of his business that was happening at Club Aluminum. And then in 1943, the Rotary International officially adopted this four-way test. He obviously was a Rotarian. He was the president of the Rotary Club. He was the RI president, the Rotary International president, in 1954. And he donated the copyright of that four-way test to the Rotary International organization. So it started out with a private citizen who was a Rotarian. It was adopted by Rotary clubs in 1943, and then it became part of the general structure in 1954. So one thing that I also found out is there's a preamble. So I have the preamble up here. It says, of all the things we think, say, and do, and then it goes into the four-way test, and we don't usually say that preamble. That's usually not part of what we are saying. So could we just, as a group, recite the four-way test? Is it say and do? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it work build and better friendships? Is it beneficial to all concerned? So I'll read this quote because I think this is really interesting. This quote was, "The power of these 4 questions and 24 words," so just 24 words, "are ways to help resolve conflicts with violence and fulfill the peace mission for Rotary." So I wanted to us all to sort of, as a group at each table, unpack it a little bit. So I have these questions. I hope you all can see them. And I thought maybe we would provide you, the folks that are on Zoom, are group number 1. So I would like you to, as a group, decide on what the statement means. So for this group number 1, it's, is it the truth? So what does that really mean? What is the truth? And how does it apply to Rotary? And what's the dynamics of that statement? And then in the context of Schenectady Rotary Club, what are ways that we address, is it the truth? And do we address it in the community? Do we address it in our club? So that's your assignment. I'm putting my adjunct professor hat on. That's your assignment. And so Zoom will be group number 1, is it the truth? on my right, Brian, Andy, Carmel, and Zama, your question will be the second one. Is it fair to all concerned? This table does it build goodwill and friendship? And is it beneficial to all concerned? You're the fourth one. And then Luann, as I was coming in today, she said there's actually 5 questions in Rotary. And the 5th question is it fun? So this table is the fun table. And you guys will develop the idea of, is it fun? So is everybody clear what you're doing? And we only have like 10 minutes.
Are we be graded on this?
You will not be graded, but I would like to each table to provide a synopsis of what you guys talked about, so we can all share it back and hear what you guys came up with. So is that clear? Do I need to repeat it again? So I have the questions up on screen. It is 12:40, so we'll talk for maybe 10 minutes, and we'll come back. And I'm going to mute group number 1, so you guys can talk among yourselves. And now it's time to report back and tell us what you all came up with for ideas, for thoughts, for comments. And since the group on the Zoom caller number 1 is of the truth, we'll let you start first. I don't know.
Oh, sure. They're trained.
Are you guys ready? You have somebody who can report? Okay. So group 1 is now going to report. Is it the truth?
Okay. Can you hear me, Ellen?
Yep.
Well, we're good. Sharon's going to ball down. We had a good discussion here, a lot of participation. And I'll just give a little recap of some of the different things on, okay? And one is that truth, a good foundation which to build upon, okay? And that also are we doing what we're saying and saying what we're doing, or in other words, are we carrying out what we say we're going to do? That being truthful is good for mankind and good for oneself. Also that it was stated that it's refreshing to participate in a group which has being truthful as one of its main tenets. Okay. Also the idea of most people try to be truthful, but are we confident enough to allow others to be truthful in themselves? And then we had a quote from one of our Rotarians, I believe it was, or somebody was quoting Nick, who said, the truth requires no defense. Okay.
Thanks, Nick.
Also, being truthful makes you feel good, and also that oftentimes being truthful can be at odds with something else. Okay, and I was saying that one time there was a group I was with, and it said to be good managers do things right, and good leaders do the right thing. So oftentimes those two things collide with each other, and both may be truthful. But you have to make a decision, okay? And that's where the truth can sometimes get a little fuzzy. So in any event, those are the main thoughts that we shared.
Great, thank you. Nice job. And group number 2.
Under half an hour.
I only have 4 pages of notes.
Way to go,
Do I have
Brian.
to come up there to
You don't.
Is it the truth? She's gotten the pen before.
Can they hear me if I stay here? Can you guys hear me on Zoom?
Can you guys hear Carmel?
Yes.
Okay. So we had, is it fair to all concerned? And I think in the first round of that, the first question, we kind of talked about the part for all concerned. And kind of focused on that a little bit and talked a little bit about Brian talked about mindset and how we approach that question in our lives, and in terms of how do we treat people with kindness, and what's our behavior, how is our behavior and our words influenced by that. We talked about evening the playing field. We had started talking a little bit about racism before lunch, so we definitely felt that this question referred, kind of piggyback with that question that we're all dealing with quite a bit these days. We talked about whether fairness sometimes looks fair, but maybe it's not. And how does it relate to the acceptance of change? And so that idea of the status quo versus trying to move forward with change. This question comes in. I think Andy talked about what we also have to think our view. Do we think that the world is fair, or do we think that the world is unfair? And how does our perception of that influence whether we think that it's fair to all concerned? And then we did talk about the comfort level, and that all of this comes with a level of discomfort. If we're trying to do something new that we're not comfortable with, it might be difficult for us to accept the idea of fairness to all concerned. We didn't really get a lot of talk about how this influences the Schenectady Rotary Club in particular, but one of the ideas that came up was the service project that was held last Saturday morning at Will Rivas's Cocoa House, and this idea of we've done a lot of work maybe in other parts of the city, but now we kind of brought that work up into a different neighborhood, and that obviously would be trying to be fair to all concerned, but might have come with a little bit of discomfort in that. Right. Okay.
Thanks, Carmel.
Anybody else?
Nice job, guys.
Good job.
Okay, so group number 3, does it build goodwill and better friendships?
So for sake of time, we'll abbreviate. So as we looked at, does it build goodwill and friendship? What we looked at is doing good for others within the best intentions, and to build better friendship, it's taking the time to actually be with people like we are able to do in these meetings. And if you're doing something good for someone, there's a difference between just doing that and then also taking that time to engage with that person. That's where the friendships are really developed. And then Aunt Judy brought up a very great perspective on how she noticed that we operate within the world of cooperation, and we don't have this hierarchical, is that a word?
Hierarchy.
Yes.
Something
Like an alpha structure. I'm gonna work on that on the ride home. We don't have this alpha structure here, which I agree very much so. And as she brought that to our attention, I started looking at how cooperative we really are, and you don't have that sense of anyone's ever, trying to be above or below anyone else. So that's what we came up with.
Great, thank you. And question number 4, is it beneficial to all concerned?
All right, I've just been elected spokesman, so I guess it's beneficial, who knows. Anyway, I think that a couple of things that we talked about were more that may kind of cut through what everybody's talking about. Number one is that things are situational. So you're talking about beneficial, it could be a big idea or it could be a very small idea. So it really depends, and then that, of course, helps define the audience you're thinking about that benefits from the particular idea. It could be a couple of people sitting around a table, it could be the entire community, it could be, there's limitations on that. The second thing is that this 4-way test and our question in particular forces you to stop and think, right? Instead of just rushing to a decision or going with your gut, which I think is much more than just your gut, you're stopping and you're thinking, and you're saying, okay, we're going to take this particular idea and we're going to apply it in this case as a beneficial and see how that works. The other thing is that people have different values that have different weights. So we ended up spending a long time, most of our time, talking about Amazon, interestingly enough. And what came out of that was, at first I'm like, oh God, will they get on with the Amazon already? But what came out of it, which was really good, is that certain people look at Amazon and say, Amazon is great and it's beneficial, it's quick, it's cheap, it can save our club money. Other people look at it and say, well, they exploit the workers and that's a high value for me, and so I don't want anything to do with that, or I want a limited amount to do with that. So each person is looking at the value of the beneficial in a much different way. But then you have to compromise because you got to move on, because you're here and it's your club and you need to make decisions. Anything else that I missed?
was particularly referring to the Smiles program where the foundation encourages people to shop Amazon and to report it so that some money gets returned to the foundation. And I respect the people who need to do that, and I think that maybe that's where the beneficial is where we have to put it.
Well, thank you, Group 4. And lastly, but not least, is the fun. Where is, how is it fun?
I guess.
Turn the camera on yourself.
That's gonna get a great shot. All right.
Look at this.
Okay, so we had Is It Fun, which we all know is the 5th unwritten part of the 4-way test. And we really looked at the fun comes from the way that we serve and interact with each other. That coming to Rotary is more than about work and picking up extra responsibilities, but it's really about building relationships and having fun while we do that. And that fun comes in the form of engagement in our club, both serving the club and serving our projects and our community. And then in the process, when we're relaxed and outside of a rough meeting spot, sometimes it's where you get to really know the people that you're with, and learning more about them and about their hobbies and what really makes them the people that they are. And our club really reflects this in a lot of the things that we do. We see it every time we're here during our happy dollars, where we really share both our happy and sad moments, and we get to really see the people that are at the table. And when we're working side by side at our work days, at our happy hours and social events, where we've said it's a great place where it's safe to be silly, where we dress up and we take off our professional hats sometimes, and we really relax and just. And I think once you've built those relationships and you've created this network, it is more of a place where you're going to enjoy yourself, and not just because it's a good thing to do. Like we're bringing the fun, and with that fun comes engagement.
It's supposed to be a serious professional club.
I'm loving it.
So next time, everybody needs to wear their noses. So thank you very much. I hope this was fun. We are going to close the meeting with Rado, and Amy's going to do Rado. And thank you all for being so willing to participate and giving such great thought into everything.